Did you know that according to AmericanProgress.org in 2011, mothers who received child support from fathers depended on these payments for 17% of their total income? For custodial parents below the poverty line, those who received child support, the payments accounted for 52% of their total income. A recent study of child support arrearages, known as back child support, in 9 states found that non-custodial parents with the largest amount of back child support are least able to afford it. Approximately 70% of past due child support owed is due to a non-custodial parent who has no reported income or an income of less than $10,000 per year, which averages less than $1,000 per month. Today we will discuss the 3 primary problems and solutions to fix those problems. The first being that the non-custodial parent cannot afford it. The second being legal actions for non-payment. And the third being those who just don't want to pay. They don't have a real reason, they just choose not to pay it. With the first problem being that they can't afford it, the current action for that is that they don't pay. They don't get an attorney, they don't file a motion, they don't seek out help to make these payments. Primarily what they do is they just don't pay it. The solutions that are recommended federally are that they seek legal counsel. By seeking legal counsel, they can get an attorney and file a motion. With that motion, they can file for a hardship to limit that amount of back pay that can come up so that it's not so massive and they don't end up in jail. Should they not be able to afford representation, they can go to government agencies such as the local child support office. They can also go to the Department of Revenue, or they can seek out the local legal aid society, which will help them for little to no cost. The second problem being legal actions for non-payment. For these legal actions for non-payment, the current solution in the state of Virginia is public shaming. They take the non-custodial parent who owes back child support and they put them on billboards and they put them out on social media and they publicly shame them for not paying. In other states, or mostly federally, they will revoke passport applications, they will revoke their driver's license, they will put out a bench warrant for their arrest, or they can do a garnishment of wages and assets. What should happen is that they need to come up with a federal enforcement flat rate garnishments. That is posted by the Washington Post as a recommendation for a way to fix people who can't pay the total amount without getting legal action involved. By setting a flat rate standard, that gives them a minimum payment. The Obama administration is currently working on passing a minimum flat rate of $25 a month, which is completely off the wall. You can't live off $25 a month. But child support is not to live off of. It is to assist in raising and supporting the children. Another solution that is also recommended is the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act. That was put in place in 2008. It started in the state of Ohio, and then it reached out to other states who adopted it, such as Kansas and Georgia. The Uniform Interstate Family Support Act of 2008, it supports finding the parents and holding them liable for their actions for not paying. Within this act, it is also referred to as state jumping. A parent who gets back in child support in one state, they will move or jump to another state or country, by country being one of the provinces of the United States, being like the Bahamas or an island of the United States. The third one being they just don't want to pay it. They don't have a real reason why not to. They just choose not to. Currently, they do state jumping, the non-custodial parent does, or they won't report their full income, meaning they'll work under the table jobs such as construction or landscaping, something they don't have to hold liable on their taxes. What needs to happen is to reinforce the federally renounced Uniform Interstate Family Act to keep them from state jumping and to hold them liable regardless of where they're moving to. The current time frame is 6 to 18 months before child support can get caught up in a new state. Also, they need to reinforce the federal standard of child support. We went over the $25 a month that Obama administration is trying to push through. More reasonably would be more like $250 per child. Set standard all over the map that would account for the cost of living, and that would give you a base pay to go off of. And then as the non-custodial parent betters themselves in life and gets jobs where they can afford it, then it'll put them where they can readjust it and they can file motions and they can seek the legal representation to get the child support adjusted to something they can afford. Now, today we have covered the three primary problems, being the non-custodial parent cannot afford it, the legal actions for non-payment, and they just don't want to. Child support non-payment is every taxpayer's problem. When non-custodial parents don't pay the child support that they're supposed to pay, it puts those parents who have custody of the children in the poorer part of society, puts them where they need that government assistance. They can't live without it, not because they want to live off the government, but because they might just be under the table where they just can't afford groceries. They can afford all their bills, but they can't afford groceries, or they can afford groceries but not diapers. This kind of puts them in that form of a category. In 2009, only 1/3 of child support was paid in full. The numbers on that was $2 million out of $6 million in the United States was paid for, and that's per the Department of Health and Human Services, dated 2009. We all know who loses in this situation. It's the children. That's a quote from Bill Clinton when he instated the act of garnishment of wages.